Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and today is April 13th of 2024. Today we celebrate Saturday of the second week of Easter, and it's also the optional memorial of St. Martin I, who was a pope as well as a martyr. Today's gospel comes to us from the Gospel according to John, chapter 6, verses 16 through 21. When it was evening, the disciples of Jesus went down to the sea, embarked in a boat, and went across the sea to Capernaum. It had already grown dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea was stirred up because of a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they began to be afraid. But he said to them, "It is I. Do not be afraid." They wanted to take him into the boat, but the boat immediately arrived at the shore to which they were heading. Today's gospel really sets the stage for us and for next week's readings, which will present us with the Bread of Life discourse. While it's true that yesterday's gospel concerned the multiplication of the loaves, here we have a very intense and often overlooked miracle. A miracle that's perhaps a greater one than we first think. Indeed, St. Thomas Aquinas points out that here there's actually 3 miracles that take place. First, Christ walks on the sea. And then he says, second, the storm was quickly calmed, which it seems to be Aquinas taking it from the other walking on the sea miracles. And third, and this is perhaps the strangest part, the boat suddenly arrives at the shore where the disciples wanted to be. Now, some people, especially modern theologians, love to point out that there seems to be a contradiction here, because the other miracles of Jesus walking on the water have different elements, and so they say, well, there's disagreement. For instance, we have miracles of Jesus walking on the water in Matthew 8, verses 23 through 27, Matthew 14, 23 through 34, and Mark 6, 45 through 53. But what's interesting is that John Chrysostom says there's no contradiction whatsoever. He says these are in fact all different miracles. He says that Jesus needed to repeat the same thing because it's the only way that it comes to stick in the apostles' minds. So what are we to make of this particular and this very involved miracle? Well, the saints have plenty to say about it, but we'll consider just what St. Thomas Aquinas and what another Christian writer have interpreted as. Now, seeing the miracle, St. Thomas Aquinas writes that we learn from this that the faithful in whom Christ is present put down the swelling pride of this world. They tread under their feet its waves of tribulation and cross quickly to the land of the living. As we read in the psalm, "Your good spirit will lead me to land." In other words, what Aquinas is saying is that the miracle is a message for us. It's a message, it's an invitation to reject the world's pride. And we do that with our humility. We need to shake off the difficulties of this life, the problems that we face. They're really nothing. And instead, if we do these things, rather than be disturbed, we'll find ourselves in peace with God. Now, the Christian writer Theophylact, who was a Byzantine archbishop from around the year 1050, gives us another beautiful commentary. He says this: "When either men or devils try to terrify us, let us hear Christ saying, 'It is I. Be not afraid.' That is, I am ever near you, God unchangeable, immutable. Let not any false fears destroy your faith in me." Observe, too, our Lord did not come when the danger was beginning, but when it was ending. He suffers us to remain in the midst of dangers and tribulations, that we may be proved thereby, and flee for help to him who is able to give us deliverance when we least expect it. When man's understanding can no longer help him, then the divine deliverance comes. If we are also willing to receive Christ into the ship, that is, to live in our hearts, to have him there, we shall immediately find ourselves in the place where we wish to be, that is, in heaven. Beautiful. do not let ourselves be terrified. Hear Christ saying to us, "It is I, be not afraid. I'm always with you." It's true that sometimes we have to endure for a while, just as the disciples had to endure the storm that was brewing. And he says, no, endure. Show me your faith. When things don't make sense, we have to turn to God. And if we're willing to have him in our hearts, to live in his presence, well, then we'll find ourselves where we want to be. Just like the apostles did, suddenly, they find themselves in heaven. So today, let's ask, through the intercession of Mary, Mother of our risen Lord, for the grace to remain firm in our faith, even in the midst of difficulties and challenges, knowing that after a time of tribulation, Christ will give us relief. And after that, we will reach our heavenly home.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed hearing the gospel and homily, I invite you to share it with someone you know who may also find it rewarding, and also to subscribe to the Catholic Voice channel. Please see in the description below if you would like to receive a text message for each daily gospel and homily. Please also keep our missionary priests throughout the world in your prayers. Thank you, and God bless.